My name is Greta Matassa, and I'm a professional singer and recording artist, and I teach singing. I've been singing since I was a little kid, but I started taking it seriously when I was about 14. And then by the time I was 17, I was working. My parents were also big jazz fans. When they had a daughter who was interested in making a living as a singer, they didn't freak out about it and go, "Oh my God, you can't possibly do this. You won't survive." When I was 14, I formed a group with the high school big band that I was in. Everybody's parents had some party or other that they could have us come and play at. Then I started really getting seriously interested in whether I could do this professionally. I had actual vocational questions like, how do you make a living at this? How do you book a band? How do you find musicians? How do you know what music to do? How do you deal with the drunk? What's a set list? So my parents would take me out to nightclubs, and in some cases even sneak me into clubs where I wasn't supposed to be, just so that I could get to meet the musicians and see what the scene was like and what it would be like to do that. So I did. If you know anything about jazz music is all about learning a song the way it was written, and then when you perform it, you use the skills of like a songwriter or a composer to sort of modify the song. So every time you sing it or you perform it, you change it a little bit. You either change the melody a little bit, or you change the rhythm of it a little bit, or the speed or the tempo. Gail Pettis was probably my best example of kind of a Cinderella story. Gail was a very successful orthodontist, very quiet, very shy kind of person, came over for a lesson. As soon as I leaned in to listen to her sing, I went, "Ooh, she's really good." She didn't know how good she was. So I started working with her, and then very quickly started working toward getting her some performance opportunities. She now is a very successful recording artist. This was just a woman who came to my house, had a whole different career, and completely changed her life.
I like the fact that in jazz, you can just sing the same song 5 times in a row, and each time could just go to a different place. This is a song that you'll recognize, especially if you've been at my gigs. Aware of it on a conscious level, but I'm sure that everything that we listen to or experiences that we go through color our singing. We all have music in us and our own personal response to what we hear. I like people who make me feel something and then just live off of that song because there's so much in there. Greta is one of the most naturally gifted teachers I've ever met.
I considered myself pretty much self-taught, but a friend of mine who actually is a professor of jazz music at Cornish suggested that since I taught myself how to do this, why don't you just think about and re-examine how you know what you know and just kind of come up with a process. And that's what I did. I work with people privately, I work with them also in rhythm sections and clinics and things like that. But basically teaching them fundamental techniques, same kind of stuff that classical teachers would teach them about breathing, about diction, about diaphragm support, and all of that kind of stuff.
She's able to, number one, make you feel comfortable so that you can learn, because if you're all guarded and frozen up, or you feel like you're being criticized or whatever, she's able to create an atmosphere that's fun. You feel like you can make a mistake and you learn from it, but that there's no judgment or like, well, why can't you do better, kind of a thing.
Tempo, but I'm treating each of these lines more like an independent sentence.
And it was amazing because I could just look and see her stand beside somebody maybe who had a challenge with rhythm, and then do a little dance and kind of pull them into it so that they could feel it in their body. 1, 2. When somebody sings something, then she knows exactly what area needs to be honed in on.
When lonely feelings chill.
Not everybody who can sing as well as Greta can, and who's as talented as she is, also has the ability to communicate how to do it, because it's not a formula. I think the thing about jazz is that it's so individual.
Couldn't find one final duet that we thought was good enough, and we came here and we had a lesson with her. I asked her, do you know any good duets, and she threw out like 4 or 5. We went back and listened to it. We were just like, oh my god. This is the song. We knew within like the first 5 seconds. It's always been very personal. It's not just a musical relationship. It's like, what do you want to sing about? What do you want to put into your music? If there's something going on in my life, I remember coming in one time and I was just bawling my eyes out. Like, Greta, my boyfriend and I just broke up, and I'm horribly just depressed and I'm pissed off, and she gave me a ton of blues songs and like female empowerment songs and stuff.
Through every open door, count your blessings to find what you look for. Turn my sorrow into treasure gold. You pay me back in kind, reap is what you sow. We could have had it all.
When I come in and I'm really depressed, I'm really upset, just the fact that I can confide in her and that she's just always there for me.
And I think we decided that last note will be a quarter note.
Full quarter, yeah.
Full quarter.
She's definitely validated me in the way that she's just believed in me and said, hey, you should do this gig, you should do this gig, I can help you get a gig here.
Some of them that are really talented, like Catherine, who is one of my better young students, gearing a lot of my lessons towards sort of the vocation, making a living as a singer, and telling someone as talented as her some of the things that she needs to be aware of and start thinking about in terms of finding work for herself.
I loved that she said that, because in a process of performing your whole life, your teachers' opinions and their thoughts are so important to you. To hear that my teacher really appreciated my songs, having that support is amazing.
Burning inside my brain, romance is mush, stifling those who strive.
Definitely in the beginning, when I'd be performing, she'd be there, alongside, or she'd be in the audience. A piano solo was going or something over the form, and for a second I just lost it, and I didn't know where I was supposed to come back in. All I have to do is look at her and go, just knows, and she just brings me in.
I get the question a lot, are you upset that you've never been like world famous, and why aren't you? And a lot of people that really admire what I do are positively pissed that I'm not like super famous. I've sung all over the world, but it's never going to be this kind of huge epic fame. And because the music is much more important to me, I was never interested in leaving this music behind in order to pursue fame. It's just not worth it. And I'm hoping as Catherine gets a chance to perform more that she'll really understand too. Don't let the fact that you're not on the face of People magazine destroy you. And I don't really care about that stuff. I just like the music part. I think that I've been remarkably lucky to have found out at an early age what I was supposed to do with my life. It doesn't always come to you right away. Make up your mind right now what you're going to be. What's your career going to be? What kind of person are you going to be? And that's not easy. I consider myself very fortunate to have figured out that this was important to me and that I was good at it and that I could also make a living at it. So those three things were very lucky. I don't think I could not have music in my life. I mean, it would be kind of like not having food. If it is that important to you, then it's what you sort of base your life around it, and it helps make you whole.